All right, good day, everybody. Harley-Goldwing guy here, aka Bill. I want to share with you my story, kind of my history of motorcycling and how I got to where I'm at today with owning both a Harley and a Goldwing. Um, Bottom line up front, my Goldwing broke down, leaving me stranded, and it took about 3 months to get it back, and it was prime riding season in the summer and came home to an empty garage and just really missed having a motorcycle. And some friends had told me about the newer road glides, newer street glides, 24 and 25 specifically, Harley, being a dramatic change over the old motorcycles. Had some water cooled heads, lighter to handle, and better maneuvering and everything. So that's the bottom line up front as to how and why it happened. Now, from here, I'm going to go into details, and I'm going to start kind of going to go backwards to the history of when and how I got into riding, because I quickly got onto big touring bikes my first year of riding. So I was a late bloomer. About age 32, I started riding in 2004, and bought a little 250 to learn on because I'd never really ridden. I knew how to drive a stick shift, and I think I had ridden a little dirt bike, a little off road 125 or something way back when I was a teenager, of a buddy's. I lived in a city, so I was city boy. So we really couldn't just jump on dirt bike motorcycles and go riding around the city. Um, and then we were poor too. So I mean, parents and I didn't have a lot of money to invest into such things. Doing good to have a reliable bicycle, to be honest. So I waited a long time. I had an early child rearing experience with an ex-wife and everything, and raised kids and stuff like that. And the motorcycle started piquing my interest around probably age 30, and then 32. I finally went for it. And so I bought this junk 250 Yamaha Exciter. When I say junk, it would run for like 30 minutes. It had a bad fuel module under the seat that was about a $375 part. The part really cost about the same as what the bike was worth, but it was good enough for me to learn on. So I learned everything on that bike. And then I quickly jumped up to a 750, bought an old 1977 754. Many people probably think I should have hung on to it, but it had been modified some, and it had been lowered, so the chain really didn't stay tight. I found that out. It ran great. It ran like a raped ape in dry weather, and then in rain. So I didn't want to be a fair weather rider or just a daylight rider. I commuted a lot at that point to work and back, which included riding in the dark as well. I was an early first shifter at work, and so I mean, I love the feel of the bike, the 750 and everything, but it would choke out in the rain. It was carbureted, and it would start choking out in the rain, and it kind of go into limp, and about 50 mile per hour would be top speed if you were in a good rush of rain. So later then I started talking to people about Harleys and things like that, and I thought I wanted, a noisemaker, a cool sounding V twin type bike. And people tell me they're junk. They just say, "Oh, you don't want a Harley; they're junk." And so, I went and formed my own opinion too. But somebody had mentioned the Goldwing to me, Honda Goldwing, and so I went out to this dealership back then. It's no longer in business. This was in Indiana, and tried a bunch of bikes, and tried a old Harley. I think it was an '88 or '96 cubic inch. Um, and it was sluggish. It was not quick at all, as many of you watching and listening to this will know. And then um, tried a Goldwing, and I tried. What did I try that day? I know I tried the Harley, and I tried the Goldwing. Oh, and I tried a newer Goldwing too. I tried an older Goldwing and a newer Goldwing. It was funny. The salesman, he was cool about me test riding. With no pressure sales, and it was like a 2001. It was the new generation Goldwing, the Generation 5, where they had gone to fuel injection in the 1800. And he's taking the bike out for me. And he's like, "You get on this, you ain't gonna want to get on a 1500." Because the one I was really looking at and interested in of the Goldwings at the time, price point and all that, was the 1500 and a 98 specifically. And so I jumped on the 1800, went out and rode it, and it didn't impress me. It didn't. And but it could have been because it was, wasn't optioned or, accessorized or something like that. I didn't know a whole lot at the time. And so I took it back, and I actually went to a local place closer to my home. I'd had my eye on this 1500, and then I tried that 1500, and it was decked out, man. This guy had traded it in during Wing Ding, which is a thing back then. It no longer is a big event, out from California. Bike had 85,000 miles on it, and it had, I think, every accessory possible or nearly possible for a Goldwing, even a taller guy like me. So the bike was just really set up for my liking. Had a lot of chrome on it, which, stock Goldwings don't. And so had a Tulsa Tall windshield on it. And so that's the bike I bought. I bought a 98 Goldwing for around $10,000. That local dealership, man, they treated me right. They treated me real well over the years, period. And then I relocated away from there back in 2019. So I no longer have that shop close by. And one day at the bank, the local bank, I pulled up on that Goldwing, or I was coming out of the bank. This is back when walking in banks to cash checks and stuff was still popular. And I come out, and this guy is on a newer looking Harley. He gets off of it, and he points at it. And he says, "Don't ever do that," pointing at his bike. I said, "What do you mean?" He said, "I was on that, and I went to this because of my buddies." And he said, "I can tell you right now, you're on the best bike there is." And he pulled out this manual air pump, looked like a ball pump. He said, "This is how I air up my shocks on the Harley. You got, integrated air ride in that Goldwing stock." And so again, I'm just learning as I'm going, and it was funny. That was a fun moment. Well, then I go to basic rider course, right? And no kidding, the two instructors, one had a full dresser Harley, I think it was a Electric Glide, all decked out, and then the other guy had a 1500 Goldwing. Okay, I'm not making this up. I ride mine 1500 Goldwing to the basic rider course. The whole class is in awe because I'm on like the biggest bike, of the students. And I'd been riding for a little while at that point, like 6 months. I was walk onto the course, and I'd already taken the DMV test to get my license on my 750 because I wanted to be legal for riding at night and stuff because I was commuting. And I was able to pass the test the hard way, to get my license. But I still wanted to take this course. And so, during the course, we'd talk about Harleys and Goldwings and stuff like that. And one instructor said, I asked him, I said, "So if you was going to go cross country, this is the Harley owner instructor, what would you do it on?" He said, "Well," he said, "honestly, I'd rather have the Goldwing. He'd rather have the Goldwing go cross country." Okay, cool, man. So the Goldwing guy, I think he had like 300,000 miles on his wing, and he never washed it. It was white, and it was ivory looking because he never washed it. Funny story. And so he also had a Cushman scooter, but that's beside the point. So going away from that, and I'm riding over the years, and I still want to test Harleys, man. They got the appeal to them and everything, and so I tried out a Road King, hurt my tailbone on that bike. No way I was buying a Road King, and it could have been the seat. I don't know. And then again, I know what I know, and maybe it's not enough. I never claimed to know it all. So I finally tried a ultra classic, like a nice. It was a 2008, I believe, and the year I think that was in 2008 as well, and it was hot. It was a hot day, and I got about 30 minutes on the bike, and I was a sweat pool. My crotch was sweaty and everything, and that I learned a hard lesson that day in air cooled. Because I thought man, these Harleys look like they got better airflow and stuff than my Goldwing, especially with that tall windshield on my Goldwing, you know. But I was actually cooler on my water cooled Goldwing than I was the air cooled Harley. Harley definitely had a better stereo, better sounding stereo. So I liked that and everything, as opposed to the Wing. And I liked back then Harley did the in-dash CD player, which was cool. You know, Goldwing still had a cassette player at that time. The 1500s did. So I walked away from that, and then at one point I tried out 7 different Harleys. Tried a Softail. That felt good. It was a Buddy Softail, but he wanted like $16,000 for it. And I just went in it for that because I could tell it was just going to be a round town bike for me. It wasn't going to be something I'd take out over the, over the long open road for a big journey. Not by choice. So I didn't buy that. And then I tried a BMW 1200, the RD, I think it was. It had the electric center stand on it. And the bike just didn't have enough power. You know, I got on the bike. I love the electric center stand idea, and I tried it and everything. It was cool. But the bike just it just lacked oomph. It just lacked quickness compared to the 1500 Goldwing, and some of the bikes I was comparing to the Goldwing were fuel injected, and I got my carbureted Goldwing, and I still drive away on the Goldwing and not look back. So, all right, let's fast forward a little bit. So I traded in for the 1800, finally bought an 1800 Goldwing around 2013. All right, it was a 2003 Goldwing. And fast forward, the ECM, electronic control module, about $1,000 repair. I think the part was 800. Went out at like 60,000 miles. I kid you not. And the bike limped home. The bike would run like erratically, like it didn't idle correctly. Well, there was a light that came on too. I want to say the check engine light come on, right? I was out on a trip here in North Carolina, local. I was about 300 miles out from home. Bike started doing this. And so basically it limped home. Let's just say it limped home. The cruise control wouldn't stay set. I could still do highway speed. And so I made it home. And coincidentally, I'd researched online or I'd seen some social media posts about this problem. And it resembled exactly what my bike was doing. So I just went back and searched. And a guy made a good reference to me to Mr. Cycles in Western North Carolina to order the part. And I got it right in because I had a trip coming up. I had my first big out west trip, first big cross-country trip for fun coming up. I'd done other cross-country trips, but usually for work or something. And so I got all that. I took the top shelter off, replaced the thing. It's a little bit of an easier job than the air filter because you actually have to move the ECM out of the way to get to the air filter. There you go. So did all that. Bike ran like a top. Okay, so just keep that in your point. 60,000 mile breakdown on my 03 Goldwing. It didn't leave me stranded. So then, I did all this traveling on this 03 Goldwing. I got about 75,000 miles on it. And I had test ridden a DCT Goldwing, the non-tour type, the one without the trunk. And man, I really liked that. I really liked the feel of it. And so I try not to be an impulse buyer, but I'm kind of one of those that first of all, the look of the new Goldwing just really appealed to me. I always thought the Generation 5 was an ugly Goldwing. Like I preferred the Gen 4, the 2000 and earlier, the 1500. I preferred the look of that over the 2001 to 2017 Goldwings. I did, really. But I like the fuel injection and the nimbleness and the handling better of the Gen 5 over the 1500s. So when the 2018 and up came out, I knew I wanted one. Just by looks alone, I knew I wanted one. But then at the same time, I said, well, I'm not going to do this. If I'm going to go a clutch, I'm not going to trade, right? It's got to be a DCT. So I gave it some time to see. I wanted reliability ratings. I didn't want to just buy the first year. So I gave it a few years, and it was time. It was just time, man. My appetite was wet for it. Finances were right. So I traded it. I got rid of the 03 for the 2021 DCT Tour Goldwing that I own now, the red bike that you'll see in videos. And man, that thing ran like a rape ape. Okay, it did everything I want it to do. Lacked some cargo space compared to the older ones. They've gotten smaller and smaller on the cargo space, but nimbleness, balance, just ease of use. I mean, it's tremendous. There's another video I got, 4 or 5 minute video on the handling of it, low speeds. So I took a couple big trips with it. It was great. Got the Russell Day-Long seat on it. The stock seat sucks. It's a very unpopular stock seat on the newer Goldwings. And I broke down in Alaska, of all places. DCT went out, and everybody's telling me how to troubleshoot. Appreciate the help out there. People trying to help me. But the little troubleshoot things weren't working. They just weren't working. Couldn't even reinitialize the DCT like Fred Harmon advises. None of that. Okay. So I'm in a pickle. Okay. Luckily, the locals there are kind. It is a nice place to be broke down as far as scenery and nice people. They treat tourists very well. But you're on your own too. You got to figure out how to get yourself home and fix your problem. So I thought I had towing on my insurance, but it turns out I did not. I just switched insurance companies prior to the trip. Wouldn't have mattered anyway because I thought I had towing, right? So typically towing will take you to the closest shop. They don't necessarily pay to take you to the shop of your choice. Well, in Alaska, there's only 2 major Honda shops, one in Anchorage and one in Fairbanks, and I was closest to Anchorage, which tends to also be the one that people point you away from, tell you not to go to for bad service. So the one in Fairbanks, 388 miles from where I broke down. That's a heck of a tow bill, okay? So the gas station attendant there, the convenience store owner, turned me on to a place right down the road called Ron's. Well, Ron's had just switched away from the Honda name, but they still had the machine, the machine to read codes on your bike. And so he said, I'll do you a favor. You bring it in, we'll read codes and see if we can help you out. And if so, we help you, and if not, you take it on down the road elsewhere. And so spent the better part of a day at Ron's, and unfortunately, no luck. I had some diagnosis of, it might be speed sensors, it might be this, it might be that. So then what next? And mind you, I got to get back to work and all that too. So I had it crate shipped. All right. That costs a few $1,000s to have a crate shipped. And so I had it crate shipped to a local dealer. Well, I flew home. Ended my trip early. I was only there a couple weeks. And flew home, and then I had no bike. So what do I do now? Well, everybody's like, try the adventure bike, man. Try an adventure bike. You're going to love it. You're going to love the adventure bike. The way you go off, dirt and gravel roads, man, you're going to love an adventure bike. You won't even need your Goldwing anymore. And then I'd look at these friends and I'm like, well, why do you still own a touring bike? Oh, I just do. Well, why? And one would say, well, it's not the same. You're still going to want your touring bike. Oh, okay. So anyway, I go and I try a brand new BMW GSA, right off the showroom floor. Nice place. Let me try it out. By the way, it's hard sometimes to even find a dealer that'll talk to you and much less let you try their motorcycle. I've ran into troubles with that, believe it or not, even though I got the money to buy them. And I didn't like it. It felt bad. It hurt my shoulders in the 30 minutes I was on it. I didn't like the wind buffering. I didn't like the sound. I didn't like the feel. I didn't like anything about it, to be honest with you. Nothing. Well, I liked how nimble it was. Okay, they're very light, very nimble. I like that, and I thought that would be a good way to get away from having reverse gear, right? Because I'm used to reverse riding Goldwings for 20 plus years. I walked away. Yeah, went back, told the guy about my shoulders. He said, "Well," I said, "Well, what about risers, bar risers?" He said, "Well, I can't guarantee that'll work." Okay, you can't guarantee that'll work. I'm not ready to drop $23,000 on this bike. And then, it comes with no panniers or nothing for $23,000. You got to buy panniers, buy a trunk, all that stuff. Just not my thing, man. I'm not real creative. I'm spoiled. I'm lazy by touring bikes. Comes with a stereo in it, comes with the bags, comes with the trunk, whatever, right? So anyway, I get home that day and I'm a little bit down, honestly. And the next day I go across town and I try a 2025 Road Glide. And here we are. Okay. Best showroom, out of box, unaltered test ride experience I've ever had. The seat was tolerable. The only thing that wasn't tolerable, I guess, is the windscreen. The windscreen was, very short, pretty much pointless. And so I had to do a taller windscreen pretty quick. And I guess that's where a Goldwing would beat it. Goldwing comes, showroom floor with a decent windscreen. So here we are, man. Had I not had some trustworthy friends that also own Harleys and testify to them, and they actually ride Harleys quite a bit, I may have never done it. But that's the story. That's how I ended up with a Harley Davidson and a Honda Goldwing. The DCT issue ended up being a transmission control module, TCM, about $1,000 part. Sets up right on the left side under the cowl or the fairing, beneath the top shelter. You only got to take the side cowl off to get to it. That's what ended up being wrong with the Goldwing. As to what broke it down. That TCM transmission control module went. Very rare. I guess it's a rare deal. Ironically, the Goldwing has 60,000 miles on it, just same as my old Goldwing when the computer component went out on it. So, folks, that's the story in essence. I may do a follow-on video later, but I wanted to share that with you while it's winter time and we're all dreaming of riding, but can't always get out. And hope you like it, and comment below. Subscribe to my channel if you haven't, please, and have a good day.